to our viewing audience. Thanks so much for taking time to join us for this really important conversation. I am really excited. I'm just really excited about this opportunity to increase mental health awareness. Everyone should know me, Dr. LaToya Mason, and I am so honored to be joined by someone who's a professional in her own right, but I really consider her to be a great friend and a sister, Dr. Bobbi Porche, and we're going to sit down just for a conversation really about beating the holiday blues. So, Dr. Porche, thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited to be here with you all.
Yeah, we know that for the masses, the holidays, is a happy time. We see a lot of glimmer and shining brights, and we all think we all know and recognize the reason for the season. But the reality is that for some people, the holidays can be kind of tough. And so I just really appreciate you, and I just want to thank you formally again. I've thanked you so much on text. I'm so sorry for bugging you with this, but thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to just sit down and have this really important conversation about beating the holiday blues.
Oh no, I'm honored to be here. So, in any way I can help, please ask me anything.
Thank you, ma'am. So, for starters, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, as you said earlier, my name is Dr. Bobbi Porche. I'm a general adult psychiatrist in Houston, Texas. I went to The Ohio State University for undergrad. Go Bucks. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I then went on to receive my medical degree from the University of Texas at Houston. And then I graduated from Baylor College of Medicine in psychiatry. And so this is my first year out practicing. And like I said, I treat adults, but I have been trained with kids as well.
Well, congratulations to you, Dr. Porsche. It's just so wonderful. Just on a personal note, I mean, I feel like for gosh, the last 20 years you've been a little sister of mine, and your lovely mom, Dr. Lynn Porsche, has been my kind of slightly older sister. So you guys, I appreciate you all having me nestled in the middle and just being so
Of
encouraging in my
course.
life.
Of course.
Shout
I still remember the first Thanksgiving we met you. So it's been an exciting time.
Shout out to Dr. Lynn Porsche and the entire Porsche family. Oh my gosh, the Mason-Boldens love you so much. Mwah. So, just kind of getting back to the subject, like we said, holiday depression, the holiday blues, it's a real thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how common is depression during the holidays?
Sure. So a lot of people think that they may be the only one dealing with it, but really during the holiday season, it's as common as 14% experiencing winter blues or seasonal affective disorder or even just major depressive disorder during that time. And there's a slight difference between those. And so seasonal affective disorder is really when you're depressed and just feeling down during those winter and fall months. And maybe you start feeling better again in the spring, but it's just coming over and over every year. You're feeling this way. You may not know why you're feeling this way. And even with the bright lights, you're just feeling down. And then, of course, holiday blues is a little bit different, and it's not as extreme as the depression you feel, but it's still there because the holidays can really be a time of maybe grief. You've lost someone, you have those memories, financial stress, and sometimes everyone just doesn't get along with their family. And so, people may feel alone during those times, but it's really common. And like I said, it's about 14%. And actually, 69% of people and just adults report that they're stressed during that time. They have a lack of time, a lack of money, and just the overall pressure of the holidays.
Those are some significant numbers that you shared with us. And so, once again, it just speaks to how relevant of a conversation this is, and how I know this information is going to help people. So, just building on that a little bit more, Dr. Porsche, how does a person know if they are depressed or if they are unwell?
Sure, sure. So the simplest answer would be if you're just not feeling like yourself. And if depression looks a lot different than what we see in like movies and how they dramatize things, but really if you're feeling down, you're sleeping more or you're sleeping less, you're not interested in things that usually bring you joy or things you usually like, maybe you're eating more, maybe you're eating less, you can't concentrate on work or at home or when your kids or family are talking to you. Maybe feeling anxious or overly worried about things. Or on the other hand, maybe you have an overabundance of energy that's just not like you. Maybe you're scared or anxious to leave your house. All of those things can look like depression and just different types of depression. And so, if you're not feeling like yourself, you're irritable, you don't want to talk to others, you're isolating, you're being by yourself, those are really signs to say, hey, like, I need to reach out to someone. Like, I am not well right now.
Great information, because it sounds like depression can manifest in so many different ways. There's not a one size fits all. So even in our relationships with our family, our friends, just because it looks like they may be doing okay, we need to really pay close attention and, maybe have deeper conversations with them to kind of detect things early on and help them to get the help that they need.
Absolutely. And it's okay to be honest in conversations. I know people are always like, how are you? How are things going? And the knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, I'm fine, everything's fine. But if it's someone you're close with or you feel comfortable with, I would really encourage you to be honest and reach out and just say, I'm not doing great. Because sometimes even having that simple conversation can lead to just feeling better, or at least getting that help or that acknowledgement of things just aren't going well.
You're absolutely right. We live in such a busy, complex world these days, and it's so easy with the hustle and bustle. Like you say, for somebody to say, "How are you doing? You doing fine?" But we got to really take time to be intentional and listen to their answers. And if they don't, say that classic "fine" or they say something different, we really need to dig into that. Absolutely. What should people do? Excuse me. What should one do if they are worried about their mental health?
Sure. So if you're worried about your mental health, I would advise you the easiest thing you can do is reach out to your primary care provider. They can be your first source of contact for a psychiatrist or a therapist and just let them know I'm not feeling great. And all primary care physicians were actually trained in psychiatry as well. They do a rotation. And so, if they're not able to get you out to someone immediately, they can also help if you're feeling down, you're feeling low. I would also encourage you on your own to also reach out to a therapist or a psychiatrist. The difference between those two is a psychiatrist can give medications if you're feeling down, and they can also provide therapy, whereas a therapist, they're mainly doing talk therapy and helping you through it. And this is just a little plug, but I think every single person in the entire world should do therapy. It's amazing. It's a professional that you can talk to. They're not going to tell your secrets unless they're worried about your safety. It's not someone like a family member or a friend who's going to take a side, but it's really someone you can share a lot with. And therapy has been so helpful for so many people. So I really think everyone, every single person should do therapy. And so those are your first points of contact. If you are not feeling like yourself, if you're having thoughts of wanting to hurt yourself, please call 911. We have psychiatrists in the emergency departments that can help if you need it, because we just want you to be safe during the holiday season.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned a few points, just kind of building on that a little bit more. Saying how therapy is good for every person.
Mhm.
I just want to, talking of no conversation about mental health, I really think would be complete without mentioning, in the context of the African American community and maybe even other communities. Um, I think historically there's been somewhat of a stigma
Mhm.
with, African Americans embracing, formally seeking, mental help from professionals.
Mhm.
Um, of course, a lot of us are people of faith. We are believers. And can you say a few words about if a person may be struggling, if they feel like they're, kind of struggling with, okay, is it okay? I'm a Christian, but is it okay for me to still go to therapy? You kind of understand what I'm trying to ask. Could you address that, please?
Sure, absolutely. My faith is a big part of my life. I've given my life and my heart really to the Lord and Jesus Christ. And I will say that, He puts these resources out for people to get help. And so, there's for a long time been a lot of stigma and negative attitudes about mental health in the Black community. And I mean, as many as like 63% of Black people believe that mental health conditions are a personal weakness. And that's just not the case. Your brain is truly different, even on imagings with depression, with anxiety. The neurotransmitters for happiness, like serotonin, are just less. And we just need those medications. It's just like if you went and broke your arm and your bone is sticking out and you're screaming in pain, no one would laugh at you for needing pain medications in that moment. And that's the same thing for mental health treatment. And so I think over the years, stigma has really prevented African Americans from seeking that help. And, once there's a stigma around it, it becomes so isolating because you don't want to be considered, crazy or different or weak in our own circles. But really, African Americans are more likely to deal with these mental health issues. Adult Blacks are more likely to have feelings of sadness and hopelessness and worthlessness compared to white adults. So we're experiencing these things, but we're not getting help. And so we're doing other things in the place of mental health treatment, and just think of your most, your saddest day of your life, could you get anything done? And now think about going through life like that. Like, I really, am an advocate for it because I don't want people to suffer like that. And so, facing that stigma is really just having these conversations, telling people, I've been in therapy before, my husband has, my mother has, like, it's just helpful. And I think having those conversations is going to break down the wall. And, if you are interested in therapy, as I think everyone should do, there are great resources for that. Some of those being psychologytoday.com. Once again, psychologytoday.com. And you can search by your area, your insurance, male or female. You can go by race if you want to talk to an African American. You can break down all those things and really find someone who fits for you in that type. There's also therapyforblackgirls.com, and they connect people and Black women with therapists. There's Black Mental Health Alliance. They find people, therapists maybe who can't afford it. And there's also resources for Black men out there. And just NAMI as well, NAMI. And you can find Black providers through those websites. So there's many different resources, and I just encourage everyone to look into that, and really fight the stigma that's out there.
Absolutely. What great information, because it sounds like, um, just even in psychiatry, we're seeing the same patterns of disparities, in healthcare and access to
Mhm.
care.
Mhm.
Um, and definitely it's sounding like that same situation is applicable to psychiatry. So we appreciate you for sharing those resources, um, and letting people know how they can reach out. Of course, um, this is just so timely, and just kind of coming back to our original topic, our focus with the holiday depression. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you maybe to give us some strategies, or, how can people cope? What are
Mhm.
some things they can do to try to beat these holiday blues?
Sure. Some tips I would go through. One, your sleep is so important. So really try to stay on a good sleep schedule. Look up sleep hygiene. That's something out there. Get off your phones at night. Only use your bed for sleeping and being with your partner. Not for reading or doing work. Lights off, cold room. Also, stick with a routine as much as possible. Sometimes during the holidays, things can get off, but sticking to your routine can really be helpful. Like eating right, exercising is so important for your mental health as well as your physical health. Saying no, we can't do everything. We are not superheroes. And so if you can't make something, let them know. If you can't do something, it's okay to say no. There is power in that. Just reassess your boundaries and expectations. You don't have to attend everything. You don't have to be everything for everyone. And also create your own traditions. Maybe you're not able to spend time with your family this year. Maybe you've moved and you've created a new family and friends who are part of your network. And so create your own things for the holidays. Maybe you need to create exit strategies. All the times we don't get along with our family or every member of our family, and that's okay. And so if someone brings you anxiety or sadness, have that exit plan that works for you. And also make sure you set up and start talking with someone. Like I said, everyone should do therapy, but try to follow these tips during the holidays. if they are a stressful time for you.
Wonderful. Great information. Thank you so much. Dr. Porche, I know your time is precious, and I just have to say I can think of no other person that I would have rather had this conversation with. You've just shared so much wonderful information, and I know that people are going to be blessed and just encouraged, empowered by this information. Um, as we go through this holiday season, and even beyond. You've shared information that really we can apply in all facets of our life, any time of the year.
Thank you.
Do you have any closing comments or any closing remarks for our audience?
No, I would just say, look up people in your area. I wish you guys were in Houston, Texas, so I could be of a help to you. But just reach out if you're feeling alone. It doesn't have to be that way. And I just want to say I'm very honored to be here with you all, and, just thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. The honor is all ours. Thank you again, and season's greetings and blessed Christmas and holiday season to you and yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.